You see that? Flint's out. And I was doing a video last time. It just, watching over it as my flint went out, as I tried to start, I realized how embarrassing that is, that I went straight to my backup lighter instead of just replacing the flint. You keep a flint under the little cotton there, and you put it back in. And the thing about that video was, I meant to talk about the Chaldean. And I never knew anything about Chaldeans until I got back together with Victoria for the first time. It's an interesting way of putting it. We were never together, but we always were. So I got back with her together for the first time, and she worked with Chaldeans. She looks kind of Syrian. As I was talking about this stuff, realized I could have shown you how to replace a flint in a Zippo. Because even though you carry a backup in your pocket, you should keep that backup for what it's meant for. Emergencies. I had a flint right there in the socket. So the thing is, I brought up the Chaldean, and Ibrahim, Victoria had introduced me to Chaldeans. I didn't know of them. I guess I wasn't as well studied as I could have been. I'd never had any contact. But then she asked Ibrahim the one night, he is in there all night, he's just rah. He's taking care of business all night long. It doesn't matter the time of the day. It's better if it's late. It's the only time I ever see him. And he says, the Chaldeans, he says they're the original Christians. I had done kind of a dumb voice in the other video when I talked to the guy, but it was meant to be enlightened upon as we got to know a little bit more. But I had to get out of there. That thing, it was like 17 minutes already. You're just gonna click off and hate me at the wrong point. These are very respectable people, and Ibrahim gave them great praise. One of the 3 original Christians, and they do consider themselves Christians, and I've heard about these people, and then I come across a book like I do. Unlike an elephant. What do you do if you come across an elephant? You fucking wipe it off. But a book, you don't come across a book. It's got its use for years and years and years, your entire life, and into the lives of your ancestry. But I came across a book just recently was able to get to it. It's been put in front of others. It's Magick. I'm amazed there's not a K on it, because this stuff seems real. And it's got the history of Magick and its principal rights. And as I read through this thing, it's talking about where it all comes from. And this very morning, it keeps coming across the Chaldeans. And I've looked, I've Googled it to see where Chaldea was, and it states somewhere in the region between Iran and, what was that? I don't know. But in Kuwait. And I've heard a comedian talk about how in Kuwait you don't have a passport, you have a citizenship or something like that. And that makes sense. Like they took Kuwait the same way they took Israel, respectively, from the Chaldeans and from the Syrians. As I read this book, I see things. It's talking about the history of it, the roots of it, and how it's connected to religion, magic. It's talking about the power of the word. It's talking about an image. It's talking about talisman. It's talking about, all these other things, fetishes, and actually describing them so it doesn't sound so dirty anymore. It's talking about amulets. It's a book that was written in, I think, 58. Oh, this is the E.P. Dutton and Company Incorporated thing is 1961. But here it says, this work was published in French under the title La Magie. Ses grands rites son histoire. I don't know. I never hear this stuff spoken. I just say it the way I read it, and it always gets me fucked up when I'm trying to talk to people. But that copyright was 1958. That's the year my dad graduated high school. So I'm reading this book, and where's my bookmark? I keep seeing things that relate to what I've been saying is Marduk or Marduk. I'm not sure how to say it. That's the way I put it, I think. Or I just act like I know what I'm talking about. Either way, you'll see which where. He's the one that killed Tiamat, the worm. And as I'm reading this stuff in here, it's all related to the Chaldeans. They're magical people. They're seers. They're in the Old Testament and beyond. And I have great respect for them, especially being that my readings of H.P. Lovecraft, they use all these names. This guy who I used to say was Marduk, he killed Tiamat, the worm, in the Necronomicon. And here I'm reading this stuff here. And here today, I almost die on fire in the car. And I pull into the liquor store, and I'm like, and I look at the guy, and it's the first time I brought it up. I've come to recognize some people think they're Russian, but they're Chaldean. People just throw Russian because they can't get the accent quite right. The people that are trying to interpret who these people are. Whom this people is. And the guy at the liquor store, I never mentioned anything about him being Chaldean. And today I walked in and said, and I looked at him after I gave my spiel on the way in. I went back and got my 30-pack and a Pepsi because, well, the way police cars are going these days, you never know if you can be driving around drinking a beer out in public. I came up to him and I said, we were alone. I said, you're Chaldean, aren't you? I said, I asked the liquor store guy, oh, baby, you're just in time. Get a drink. I expected this to happen because we've got all kinds of stuff to talk about. It just turned from a 17-minute video to a half hour.
Oh, I'm sorry.
This is underground TV. Sorry for whom?
No.
Not for me. Nobody's sorry for me. I'll be all right. They know it. Love you, baby. I still just love your glasses.
Oh, good. That works out.
So I walked in and brought my beer up, and I said, are you Chaldean? And he's standing there. This is the guy, actually. Very, very, very well-kept people.
Yes. Yes.
When he told me a week and a half ago, the day before the actual first day of fall, he said, it was beautiful and warm. He said, enjoy it while you can. He said, fall's coming on. And so I don't know why I said that. We talked about this stuff. But today I walked in and I said, you're Chaldean, aren't you? Are you Chaldean? You have to understand, if I'm exaggerating, it's not exaggerating. It's the way it felt. It's the way it was understood. You're Chaldean, aren't you? It sounds like I said that. But what I said, are you Chaldean?
Yeah.
And he says, yeah. I said, so I've never come this close to this man before. We keep a professional space.
Professional liquor buying.
Yes.
Relationship.
He knows who I am by how much he's... No, I'm talking about the dude on the way from the other way.
Because I would say Gus is definitely Chaldean.
Gus is definitely. And you are the one that introduced me to the understanding of what a Chaldean is. And said to him, you're Chaldean, aren't you? Yeah. I said, you are from a people that understands, like, you have prophecies and seers. And he's like, yeah. And he was okay with it all. And I brought up Marduk, that I keep reading about these people. I mean, look back one page. You don't believe me that the Chaldeans, who we've never heard of, they're like the Zoroastrians who are just dwindling from the earth because they can only mate with Zoroastrians. Full blood. The Zoroastrians do that. Thus spake Zarathustra. That's my Nietzsche, what do you call it, connection. But I go back one day. I've got my bookmark. But I go back one day, and the thing is, when I said, Sears, and he's like, yeah. It was like a guy like me understands this, there's hope for our nation. You know, you got to be able to understand people if you're going to let them fucking live. And I asked him about Marduk, and he's like, I said, have you ever heard of? Because it's not only in the Necronomicon from H.P. Lovecraft, who supposedly made shit up. It's also in here all over the place. Marduk, as I said it before, killed Tiamat, which is chaos. This is one of the gods. And he's like, I said, have you ever heard of him? He's like, no. I immediately spelled it. I said, I've only read this stuff. I don't get to talk to people about this. I said, but Marduk. And he said, Marduk. I said, Marduk? He says, Marduk. He says, and he's a young man. He's got to only be in his 30s.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So the faith is holding on, which is beautiful, because if you've got an original Christian, you've got a chance. What you get today is going to put us all in the fucking grave.
Yeah, for real. Yeah.
This young man, he said, and he pronounced it, and he said, you have to roll the tongue. And I said, Marduk. And he says, yes. And he doesn't speak with an accent. He's a guy that grew up here. He's like, yes. And I said, so there's no D sound in it. And it kind of disappears. So, okay, Marduk. So here, I'm excited. I finally got to really meet the liquor store guy. And he taught me how to say something properly. I told him, I said, I just read this stuff. I said, nobody I ever meet can speak this. But he says, this is the way we would say it. You have to. So he's still speaking language. They're really holding on there in the Chaldeans. They're waiting for the time.
Yeah.
They're waiting for the time.
Yeah. From what I've noticed. Yeah.
And so I go back a page and I look here, and in the talismanic magic part of it, it's got a whole thing, the Assyrian Chaldean tradition. And right at the end, he said the word Syrian. I thought he said Syrian. It might have been Assyrian, but it was a quiet thing that he just kind of... And so these are the people of Christ. The Essenes, the healers, it doesn't talk... Oh, it did mention it in there earlier, the Essenes. And I was like, yeah, I told you, motherfucker. You want to know something about what's going on? You might want to talk to me, because I can get you the people that know shit. I'm like a knowledge dealer. And this fucker right at the end, he said, it's about faith. I said, the magic. I said, magic. And he says, faith. And he was trying to cut it off because another customer had come in. He said, it's about faith.
Settle down there.
And I looked at him and I beamed with light. I know I did. I said,
Clouds
that's exactly
separated,
right.
Light shone down.
Faith.
Right in the liquor store.
Faith. And I didn't bother spouting out the fact that religion tries to steal the power of faith. It tries to take credit for it.
You know, I'm so glad you said that, because
faith.
I guess that is kind of my little, because I get so, you know, because it is. It's yeah, you said it very well. I won't turn it into a half hour. That's
We're probably at 27
right there.
minutes now.
That's very good.
Everything I do, which you don't know about,
So good.
which people witness firsthand, is not based on religion. It's based on faith. And the only reason faith is necessary. You do not doubt. There is faith. And the people that I just don't want to share it with, and I've shared it with people, and it works, because we can all do it. Why don't I give you something that will make you feel better? Because if I say it to you, and those fucking religious fuckers have stolen the power of faith and put a brand on it, if they get it first, they'll sell it like it's God, and it's not their God. It's us. It's faith.